basically the question is like, what's the size of the opportunity, and
Sure.
should we be thinking about recruiting and retention this much, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's like the
What's
question,
the
right?
TAM for recruiting and retention,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
exactly. So people talk about a lot of people moving. So last year, more than $480 billion of sales volume and more than $12 billion of commissions moved from one brokerage to another last year.
Wow.
So if we put that into context, Compass, imagine Compass, double the size of it, and then imagine all of that sales volume moves from one company to another every single year, and it's going to keep happening year
And
after year.
that 480, I think, billion in sales volume, you said, that's a consistent within a standard range. That's a consistent number.
Yeah. So the range for the last 5 years is between 16 and 18%. So 2022 was 18%. Last year was actually 16%. That resulted in those numbers. So it can actually go up and down. It's slightly generally positively correlated with the underlying real estate market. More people tend to move in up markets, likely because they're getting deals and
Really?
people are flush with cash.
So you were there, you obviously expanded the business, you did recruiting, that was your thing. So, I guess this is kind of a good segue. Tell us about Courted, and then why, what was the idea and why to build it? Give us some
why'd the
background on
world
that.
need Courted?
Yeah.
What is it
Yeah.
and why'd the world need it?
Yeah. So Courted is a agent recruitment, agent retention, and market research platform. And we work with brokerages and then teams. So I think my experience at Compass, which I believe was common for all brokerages at that time, was that we're struggling to target precisely. So which agents are the right fit for the organization? We're struggling to figure out the right time for the agent to hear from us. It's very self-centered. Like, I have an hour, so I should reach out today, but not paying attention to, is the agent busy?
They
Is this
don't.
the right time to hear
Right.
from me?
Right.
Interesting.
And then on communication was a critical piece, right? So people typically are very effective with communication, which is personalized. So I'm going to take the time to research and make you feel seen and do that with efficiency. I need to actually recruit a lot of agents. And even if I have a industry leading 9% conversion rate, I don't have enough time to make all of those calls. So balancing the effectiveness and the efficiency of communications was another struggle that we had in recruiting. And then we lacked, as I think most companies do, an integrated system. This is particularly relevant for medium and larger companies, where what are all of the people doing that are touching this process? And how are we not duplicating efforts? And everyone's busy, but how do we get a level deeper to say, are you going after the right things? How can I help to reinforce the right behaviors in terms of accountability internally? So those were the issues. And then I met my co-founders when I was at McKinsey, and I think together what we thought was, if we could bring structure and intelligence that was anchored in data, then we could actually deploy the data and insights to help people make decisions more efficiently and to reach out more efficiently. And we were just talking about OpEx is too high.
Right.
I don't think many companies have a budget to go hire 40 recruiters right now, right?
No.
And so the idea is, we have existing infrastructure. How do we save time on retaining the agents and reinvest that time into them reaching out to agents,
attracting more,
and do that in a way that that preserves, again, like our most precious resource, time.
So what have you learned over the years, or since you've been like really digging into this, that are directional arrows for anyone who's listening?
For sure. So I think that there's some easy to measure, simple things that you can do that are also easy to understand. So stagnation in an agent's business that you could measure as no activity in the last 90 days. Combine that with no active or pending transactions right now is a proxy for at least 4 months without income. Right. So you want their production maybe because they did a lot of the last 12 months, but over the past 90 days and for the next 30, they're unlikely to make any money. They're more open and available to take a call, right? That's a pretty basic one. But again, not super easy to get from the existing systems that are in the marketplace, right? The other, which is a bit more complicated, is we actually build predictive models. So these are large quantitative models instead of large language models. And these analyze the data for every single agent across the country who have left their brokerage over the last 20 years and say, what are statistically significant patterns that we could observe before the agent leaves their company that was distinct from the group of agents that stayed at their company?
Right.
And guess what? None of the things that come out of that model are news to you or any of the listeners. What they are is impossible for any one of us to go do in an Excel file.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of factors, including significant increase or decrease in production, the manager turning over at their office, recruiting attrition in their office, right? So attrition in an office, so agents departing, tends to beget to more attrition. And so when you analyze those things in combination of what's happening in the market and what's happening in their office, you can actually get to a point where, with our predictive analytics, you can forecast 4 out of 5 agents before they leave their company with 12 months of notice. As we say, 4 out of 5 is the types of odds that everyone would crowd around that table in the casino in Las Vegas. You can think of that both internally and externally, right? Because we're also focused on, both of you and I, we're focused on retention as well, right?
Yes.
And so, I think if you have, from a retention perspective, I generally put agents into 3 risk categories, with each have different actions associated with them. The first and lowest risk is the agents are doing things. They just want to be celebrated, and they don't want you to miss their milestones. A milestone includes something like the highest listing of their career, the first activity they've done in 90 days, their first closing at the brokerage, right? And so technology systems can help you to do that. But to the spirit of the question, the technology is only useful if you actually reach out to them in a genuine and authentic way. Right. So sending them like the same text over and over again doesn't really help.
Yeah. Do you want to get coffee? Do you want to get coffee? Do you want to get coffee? Right.
So the personalization of the communication and then a heartfelt follow-up is of course really important. I think on the recruiting side, we wouldn't just look for people who are likely to move over the next 12 months. We would try to use some other factors to zoom in on something that's more timely. But again, relationship is an industry. Real estate is an industry of relationships.
Right.
And what our office managers and sales managers and others are best at, and they say this to me all the time, is when I'm face to face with the agent, no one's better than me. And I believe that, right?
Yeah.
And so what should the role of technology be in that whole equation then? And, some will just go with gut, and, when they see someone looking unhappy in the office, that will be their retention strategy. But for, in my mind, it's, can we use the data to show you where to focus?
Right.
And then behaviors. Can you use the thing that you're best at to have more time face to face with your agents or with an agent outside of the
say
company?
It all the time. I'm like, this is a belly to belly game. Agents are still going to want to make sure they have a relationship with their broker. And if they don't have a relationship with you, they're easily susceptible to being recruited somewhere else.